Hi, and welcome to Asteria's Convos, where we are community, building the future. I'm your host, Asteria Elzea, hosting from land currently known as Los Angeles that has been tended for thousands of years by the Tongva and Chumash peoples. I owe everything I am to lands in the traditional territories of the Sauk and Fox nations. I acknowledge these ancestral tenders as a truth practice and reminder of the violence in our shared history, which has privileged myself and my farmer ancestors. Other identities I lead with are white, gender nonconforming, bisexual, and polyamorous. I'm newly discovered neurodivergent. I have CPTSD, severe generalized anxiety, and am chronically ill with Ehlers-Danlos. I've trained in connection and community building with Desiree Attaway, Beautiful You Coaching Academy, and in Carmen Spaniola's attachment-based, trauma-informed facilitation method. I have a work history in special events and as a stagehand. Plus, I'm a certified data analyst and practicing witch. I hope to explore all these topics and more on Asteria's Convos. So here we go! Hi, and welcome to Asteria's Convos, where we're community building the future. I'm going to stand up and light a candle for us to get started while today's guest introduces themselves and the identities they lead with.
Hi, thanks, Asteria, and thanks for lighting a candle to open the session. I've listened to you do this before, and I was like, what a beautiful little ceremony to open up. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Great. Hey, my name's Laura Dannequin, or Laura Dannequin, and I am calling from Bristol today in the UK, where I live, where I'm based. So the first question is about my identities, what identities I lead with, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's interesting because as soon as I engage with that question, the first thing that comes is that really changes depending on the context that I'm in, because I feel some of my identities feel quite fluid, or at least they're changing a lot of the time.
Sure.
So in this context, the identities that I lead with, and some feel more, static. They'll probably still be there in 5 years' time, and they were there 5 years ago, and some are much more fluid. But yeah, I'm a white woman. I self-identify as a cis white woman. I'm in my 40s, nearing my mid-40s. I'm of dual heritage. So I'm half French and half English.
Okay.
I spent the first part of my life in France and then moved to the UK. So I've been here for the last 25 years. And I really feel that dual nationality in my system and my body. I'm a movement and embodiment practitioner. And so that feels really core to who I am. I'm also a healing arts practitioner, so I hold space where I guide people, and I do that through a number of modalities. I'm a certified cognitive hypnotherapist, I'm a body worker, and I also bring my somatic practice into my client work. And that role of guide and coach and supporting other in space feels really, part of who I am. Another identity I lead with is that I'm an avid student and that I'm always studying or researching and seeking to understand how the world works, how we work, how we can coexist better, how we can heal, how we can make change. I'm aware some of this conversation is around community, so also about, how we can be in community better in small ways and bigger ways. Yeah, and also how we can be in relationship, with each other and also with the more than human world. So these are my identities.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm going to add one actually,
Great.
because it really frames and shapes who I am. Is I am a lover, and in a long-term hetero relationship, And I feel that being in that relationship and navigating long-term relationship has really formed and shaped how I go about being in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It does.
Mhm.
And you've touched on this some, but what's your work in the world?
Yeah. So my work is part of my identity, definitely. So my work in the world is varied.
Hmm.
I think there's like two main branches if I had to kind of branch things out, but these different things also really speak to each other. But with a broad stroke, there's a part of my work that's to do with movement and embodiment. And I do that in the dance world, in the theatre world, in the performing arts, but also in in community context. So I hold spaces for movement and embodiment. And so, yeah, that will be sometimes with, professionals, people who go on stage and do that professionally. And other times it's just us gathering in a space to move together, just for health and well-being and sanity.
What kind of movement is this? Is it like dance? Is it acting?
It
Is it
depends.
yeah,
So I have a background in dance. I used to be a dancer, contemporary dance practice with a lot of improvisation.
yeah.
Um, and so, but I'm a somatic movement educator. So I've through the School of Body Mind Centering. So I bring a lot of this somatic approach
Hmm.
and also my interest in kind of endocrine and nervous system and all of that into the work.
Hmm.
And some of the classes I offer are also more formed in that I offer like Qigong classes. So that will be, so that it's a little bit like Tai Chi. So there'll be much more form to them. And we'll gather and we'll just practice forms that I offer. But my classes are always very open and fluid in that people who come to my you know, classes that I describe as Qigong will say to me that that's very different to other Qigong classes they go to. I guess I'm really interested in people finding joy and pleasure and release in their body rather than adhering to any specific form. And so I really forefront what it means to really land presence in your body. And if the form suits you, great. And if it doesn't, just do your own thing. Yeah. So movement across lots of different types of movement in that sense.
Hmm. And then what's
Yeah.
your second branch?
And my second branch is really what I call these days like my kind of healing arts
Hmm.
practice. And this tends to be more one-on-one work. So I have a little room that I receive people in where I also light a little candle. And then we do, work and people will either reach for me for body work. So I do hands-on work and I've done that for a long time. I think it's coming up to 15 years that I've been doing hands-on work with people. And then the other way that I'll work with people, which is much more recent, since I've met you, something like that,
Yeah.
I'm cognitive hypnotherapist. So I'll work in a therapeutic way with people, which will be more through language.
Tell
And
us
yeah,
more about cognitive hypnotherapy because, like, I think a lot of people don't know what that means. What's hypnosis like? You know, it's not
yeah,
like you're going to get on a stage and balk like a chicken, right?
no, it's not. And a lot of
Okay.
people think that,
Right.
which I really understand. But yeah, and this is something, so I always have a call before I work with people to make sure that they really understand that my process of using light trance or hypnotherapy is really conversational. So
Hmm.
I often describe trance or hypnotherapy as just a very focused state of relaxation through which we can access different parts, different thoughts, feelings that may be a little bit more buried or shamed or squashed away, and that in that space of openness to the body and the mind, we start to have access to things flowing a little bit more easily. So my work is very conversational. It's not like someone will come in wanting to fix something and I'll just say something and it will go away. It's a really relational practice, actually. But it's often done with eyes closed. So in that sense, it's different to, what we think of as therapy. But some of the processes cross over in that we're kind of trying to unwrap, unveil, make space really for a bit more humaning and holding this space with care. And and some of the work we've done together in the Numinous Network, and this whole trauma sensitive approach around nervous system regulation and co-regulation, what it means to meet someone with kind eyes, and all of that work really comes into it, so that this trust starts to get built, and then from there we'll do some hypnotherapy. It's funny, I still say hypnotherapy interventions. I really feel like I have to find different language for it, because intervention sounds quite like it sounds a bit forceful.
Yeah.
Intervention. So I have to find other language for that, but that's what I've got for the time being.
Yeah. I'm sure vocal prosody and like the beautiful quality of your voice comes in a lot too while you're doing hypnotherapy.
Thank you, Asteria, for naming that. I appreciate that. Yes, and that is it. And it felt really great to have that named as part of the contact nutrition approach that both you and I, explore, because it's something that I've always explored through my teaching and noticed what works and what doesn't, but to really have it named and pay attention to it and the rhythm of things, even as we've named it, I feel something slightly changed in my voice. Yes, so it comes in and it supports the practice for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't really gotten into contact nutrition on the show yet, but contact nutrition, for everybody listening, is the building blocks of the nervous system to help build secure attachment. And the 5 forms are vocal prosody, kind eyes, safe touch, shared rhythm. What's the
I think the last one
ingestion
is ingestion behaviors. Yeah, which really relates to shared rhythm to me. Sometimes I don't differentiate them, but yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shared rhythms can be breathing together or dancing or lots of different ways you share rhythms. Ingestion behaviors is eating and drinking together. Kind eyes is the quality of eye contact. Vocal prosody is the quality of the voice and how it connects and soothes or can disconnect. So I just want to name that here. I think that contact nutrition is one of the biggest and most important applicable things that we've learned. Like anyone can take this building blocks of contact nutrition and apply them to their lives.
Yeah.
How are you building community, Laura?
This is a big question. And I think one I grapple with on an ongoing basis. The things that I'm currently doing in terms of community building are to do with the spaces that I hold.
Yeah.
With community movement practice. So once a week, in fact, it's tomorrow morning, on a Thursday morning, I meet in a park near my house, and I have a on donation movement practice, and we meet every Thursday, and we meet outside under cherry tree.
Beautiful.
And we move together. And again, with a kind of aim to connect with who's around and to try and stay sane together. And I find that doing that, even just that 1 hour a week, feels really supportive to my system, and I can see to the systems and the people who attend. So that's been happening for 2.5 years, which is amazing, because when I started, I was like, I'm going to do 10 sessions.
Yeah.
And then I've just kept going. So that's one little community that exists there.
How did you find people to show up in the park with you?
I started with my friends, I think. I started with my friends and my Instagram account, the maybe 100 followers I had at the time, and I just told people about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then word of mouth. It's just been word of mouth. And now I think I have a little WhatsApp group where I just let people know. So if it's really stormy weather, then I'll teach online. And I think there's about 30 of us now in the WhatsApp group. So it's just built. There's 3 people were added in this week. So it's still building, it's still growing, and it moves around. There'll be, a group of people that come, very consistently for a period of time, and then they'll disappear and they'll be replaced by the different people. So it's felt quite organic somehow.
Yeah.
It's just, and sometimes I'll get, we'll be 10, 12 of us practicing, and sometimes there'll be 3 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've kind of kept going with that. And then I'm also part of a network, different network called the Rest, Repair and Recover Network, which is UK based, but I know that there's members kind of all over the world, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I just joined that in January. So it's very recent. I've only taught about 8, 10 classes there. And this network is for people who are navigating chronic illness or long-term health conditions.
Yeah.
And it's half-hour movement practice, and it's once a week or so. But I haven't built that community, but I've been invited to join an existing community. And that feels really great because I haven't had to do all the community building work. Like you say, how did you make this happen? It's like, well, it's taken 2.5 years to reach 30 people. This exists. There's hundreds of members, and I just show up and I teach class and we do a little Q&A, and the community's there. I'm just feeding into it, as it were.
Yes. I love that about my class in the Numinous Network, that people, I don't have to do the work of building it. There are just already people looking for that connection there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an ease to that, which feels really good.
Yeah, it does.
So those are the things that are happening. But I think when I said I'm grappling with that question, is that I'm feeling a pull towards more community building, towards more change making and participation. And I'm not, I can feel this pull, and I feel myself orienting towards this, but it hasn't happened yet. And so I'm kind of wondering, I think because I'm kind of working with different modalities at different times and in different contexts and synthesizing things, it sometimes can take me a while to figure out what's needed and how does what I offer meet the need. Like where's the good point of entry? What does it can take me a while to synthesize what it is I want to offer, but I can feel this thinking unfolding just with, growing awareness of what's unfolding and where we're at in 2025.
It's kind of like the mushy goo phase between like being a caterpillar and being a butterfly. You're like, something's happening and going on, and I can feel it, but I don't know what the outcome's going to be necessarily.
I don't know what it is. And I'm trying to not panic and not feel too rushed and just trust that something, if I keep, engaging with those questions and being in the world, then things will emerge because they have and they continue to. But I think it's feeling, I've got a few hinges, a few things that have kind of caught my eye, or things that have been said to me that I was like, oh yeah, I could inquire about doing something in that space. So I could bring people together in this way, but it's not formulated yet. Yeah. It's a work in progress.
Have you had any interaction with human design?
Yeah.
Do you know what your human design is?
Yeah, so I'm a generator, so I'm very responsive, which is, what are you?
I'm a projector, so I
Are
like need an
you?
invitation.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense that you're a projector. You have quite another worldly quality, like project. There's not many. Is it 10% of the population that's projectors? It's not that many of us, huh? Generators, I think it's 70%. I'm kind of like most people, which is and what I understand, the little I understand of human design is
Right.
generators respond, which is why, the rest repair network reaches out to me to teach. Yes, I'm ready. Let's go. I have material. And then it's like, but what can I self generate? It's much hard. That's much more challenging for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And for me, it's like, I feel like I live in a world where you really have to put yourself out there, but the
Mm.
projector's like design is to wait for an invitation to come,
Mm.
which
Mm.
is
Mm.
like such a practice.
Such a practice. All this waiting around.
Are you sure I can't generate some income?
Yeah, there is that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I do benefit. My husband is a reflector, and
Mm,
reflectors and projectors go together really well
right.
because like the idea of the projector is that you're projecting the light, and then a reflector is then reflecting the light and
Reflects
making it
that.
bigger,
Mm,
more powerful, and like
mm,
so.
yeah. My partner is a manifesting generator and he leads on big projects and he's away at the moment leading on this big massive community project in the north of the UK and just much more kind of like the leadership roles that just seem to just be,
Be
just
there.
put yourself out there. Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so interesting.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It is, and it's a question, and I think this grappling that I have a little bit comes from that I am also someone who really needs and benefits from a lot of alone time.
Mm,
I I love being on my own. I love I love silence. I love being quiet and not. And so the steps or that I need to make to create
yeah.
community can at times feel overwhelming, can at times feel like, oh, what do I need to do for my nervous system to expand and to, to kind of open this window of capacity where I'm able to meet the world in that way. Because it can be a real challenge and I'll do it for half a day and then I'll need some recovery time. And
What do you do to manage that?
I spend a lot of time alone. Yeah. I disappoint friends, I think, quite often by not going out
Oh,
and responding to, invitations or just being like, yeah, actually, I'm just gonna stay home. Yeah, I think I've learned over the years to just really pay attention to that and to that need is there and I honor it. So I walk quite a bit. I often walk on my own and I try to wrap things up in the evening, not too late, to make sure I've got this real downtime of just not doing much and being on my own. Yeah. And I coexist with a partner who travels a lot for work.
yeah.
So
So then you have a lot of alone time.
So it's like, yeah. And although I do, there is a part that I do miss him, but there is a part of, this is something we discuss a lot of. Yeah, there's a part of me that knows how to be on my own and benefits from it. And then I'm really happy to see him when he comes home. So, it's a win-win.
That is a real win.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I love to do huge things with my friends. Like I threw a huge party this weekend that was vampire themed and like made sure with all of our facilitation training that it was a safe space for everybody and like
Right.
spent most of last week decorating for it and worrying about the like people and how they showed up and making sure it was the right environment that went together and getting a chocolate fountain together and
Oh
everything.
my goodness.
That's
Amazing.
so great. But also on the other side of it, I need a ton of rest
Yes.
afterwards. I'm
Yes.
like, my partners are all prepared for it to take a full week for me to recover.
Yes.
And just that week is rest and doing almost nothing.
Mm.
And
How did it go?
it went so well. It went so
Okay. Good.
perfectly.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking about that Dan Savage quote that from the AIDS crisis. Well, because things in America are so bad right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I keep thinking about that Dan Savage quote that's like, we were fighting in the morning and whatever, and then dancing all night.
Uh,
So my friends still feel like it's hugely important to have these parties that are so connected,
mm,
such a queer, neurodiverse
mm,
community. And just all of us are struggling with the environment in the US right now
yeah.
and the politics. But then
Mm,
we get to come together for these big things we do on the weekends
mm, mm,
and have the joy together and have such a nice, cozy, like dancing,
mm.
being time. And
Yeah. Remembering that.
know we're safe, have the joy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Remembering that we can. It's interesting that a main theme that drives this your podcast, this community also, but remembering that, yeah, we build together and we resist together and we need each other to,
Yeah.
yeah, to survive
Mm.
and to get through. Yeah, I can't imagine what it must be like being in America at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Mm,
really kind of strange because, well, especially being in LA, because
mm,
I'm basically fine. And then
mm-hmm,
also,
mm-hmm.
the news is just a bombardment
Yeah.
constantly. And then there's
Mm-hmm,
the other stuff like, how does that interact with my relationships with my family back home in Missouri? Or how does that interact with my
mm-hmm,
relationships or like my ability to travel or stuff like that? So it's a constant. And then, I know people that have lost their passports because they went to get them renewed and the people kept the documents, or, yeah,
mm,
people that are not able to like eat because prices have gone up so much and job loss is so heavy here right now. And like,
mm, 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 mm. It's making me think of the collapse that so Carmen Spagnola, who's our shared mentor,
yes,
holds these and speaks of collapse and when she speaks of it in ways that aren't this big obvious thing that hits you all of a sudden, but more this insidious thing that just keeps, it can be that, but it can also just be just a sense of just the groundwork just disappearing slowly, and that we're in it now. It's not this thing we have to like kind of like prepare for when it happens. It's like it's happening, and what are we doing
yeah,
now? And it can feel this, it can, not that it's discrete at the moment in America, but it's very interesting. You name, like, on some level things are normal and continue,
hmm
and then there's this other level where it's like actually it's things aren't okay at all. And
yeah.
yeah.
I attended a training last week with Desiree Attaway and Jessica Fish, who are
Mm,
very top level DEI educators.
mm,
It was about like leading in poly crisis.
mm,
And so they showed this cool map of how all the crises happening right now are connected. But they also talked about hypernormalization,
uh-huh.
which is this, that what you just talked about, that like some things just go on
Mm,
and life goes on and people have to keep going to their jobs and people have to keep living and all the
mm,
normal stuff goes on.
mm,
And then there's the other layer of wait, the world is falling,
mm,
country is falling apart, the like crazy stuff that's happening, And
Mm.
then we just like are supposed to show up in such social situations and answer like, how are you? With, oh,
Mm.
I'm good.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think sometimes that kind of permeates my thoughts around what it means to offer something for the community at these times, and is standing in a circle, breathing and moving together enough, and it feels enough in the moment because I feel it's such a basic need, really, that I'm,
Yes.
you know, but it can feel so little,
Yeah.
and then the feeling of so little can be paralyzing
Yes.
because it's like, but there's so much to do, like. What does change making look like with the tools that I have and with where I'm at in my own, interpersonal stuff? Yeah, and yeah, the sense of paralysis, but really not wanting that to take over.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So I love that you brought up standing in a circle breathing, because like
Mm,
I've spent a decade working on like trying to relax my nervous system, because
mhm,
they kept telling me I didn't know what I was doing at first. Doctors kept
mm,
telling me like, "Oh, it's just your anxiety. It's just your anxiety." And then like there weren't any solutions, right?
mm,
Um,
mm,
and then I've learned more about breathing. I've done yoga. I've worked on
mm,
relaxing my muscles and such. And then just this past, like around Christmas, around the
mm,
holidays, I was doing research on my own. I had this problem with a rib that goes out of place. It's a floating rib. And I
mm.
was researching it. And the physical therapists I was watching on YouTube were like, it's actually because you're too stiff and you're thinking about your rib cage as a cage and not,
Uh-huh.
and the ribs are all supposed to be free floating, actually.
Mhm, mhm,
The muscles can move. And they're like, for you as a hypermobile person, breathing into your belly is not really what you need to be doing. You need to be
Interesting.
breathing in
Yeah,
your chest to like
yeah,
expand it and like
yeah.
allow that movement, allow, and the like my rib was going out multiple times a day, and I was
Mm.
having to put it back in with a ball or like ask my partners to help me put it back in or whatever.
Ouch. Uh-uh.
Now it's not very often, because I remember to think about, my
Breathing in your
breathing,
chest.
just breathing
Mm.
in my chest.
Yeah.
It's such a big deal for me to
Yeah.
just be breathing in my chest.
Yeah. I'm so glad you have found, a partial answer to that problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 And I think that's what I mean about not being dogmatic about movement.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of movement practices, and especially, around like, I don't know, yoga and qigong and tai chi, is like, this is the way of the master. Like, and breathing in your belly isn't doing you any good. We need to change it, just so really approaching movement and embodiment from as, well, I think we still have to honor, the heritage and where things come from
Yes,
for sure.
absolutely.
But also just for me, which is why I really like somatic practice, it's working from this place of the felt sense. So you're describing here actually, I can breathe through my chest and say, okay, that's your felt sense. Your felt sense is that doing that means that your rib stops popping out of place.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good work. That's good embodiment. Not breathing from my belly because
Someone told me
that's what everyone's saying or talking, Yeah. The felt sense of who we are and remembering that and 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 building and fortifying ourselves in that so that we can then meet the world in how we want to meet it. I think that's the work I'm trying to do in the world. Yeah.
yeah.
In a soft way. It's funny because I was going to say, how do we fortify ourselves? And I because we do need, but also in a soft way, in a way that
Well, we
that
fortify ourselves with flexibility, like a
mm,
like a willow tree in the storm
mm,
blows
yeah,
around
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
is
yeah,
flexible.
Absolutely. And often when I touch people and do, body work, and what I will often remind people is of how fluid the systems are. So even if I'm touching the bones of a cranium or something, that, just remembering that there's all these beautiful fluids that are bathing those tissues, and that so that there's a sense of fluid energy moving up and down and through and across and around. And so reconnecting with this sense of fluidity in the system, and that being a place of power and strength. Yeah. Yeah. And it feels so, when I was thinking about what your question of what my work is in the world, a word that I also jotted down was I'm remembering. I feel like a lot of this work, a lot of what I'm naming and what we're speaking about is actually just a remembering of something that already is and has been here for a very long time, and that we have forgotten because of the systems that we live in. And so, yeah, the word remembering feels quite important to me too. Yeah.
Yeah, the systems want us to be so disconnected
Mm-hmm.
from
Mm-hmm.
the earth, from our bodies, from each other, because the systems benefit from that.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
we, a lot of this work is remembering our connections to each other are important, and that like
Mm.
it's going to be inconvenient sometimes to be in community with each other. It's going
Mm-hmm.
to be
Mm-hmm.
annoying sometimes. You're going to need to learn to talk to people about things
Mm-hmm.
with the connection to the earth. Like they worked really hard in early capitalism and early landowning
Mm-hmm.
to disconnect, to make women less appear less knowledgeable and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
disconnect us from our natural like remedies, from our bodies, from
Mm.
earth, like the ways that the herbal knowledge were accurate.
Mm. Mm.
Because
Absolutely. Mm.
there's lots of historical herbal knowledge that you come back to, like willow bark tea has aspirin in it. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same ingredients.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, you work with plants as well, don't you? You're a little bit of a plant witch, is that right?
a little bit, I grow a lot of plants and
Yeah.
have some knowledge about it. I'm like a kind of eclectic witch where I just like collect information and like
Yes.
put it
Yes.
together and
Yes. Mm-mm.
yeah. So
Mm.
I love roses. I do use a lot
Mm.
of plant herbal magic.
Yes.
All the flowers I draw for the podcast have like a reason I picked them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. But yeah, yeah, there's disconnection that's happened.
Yeah.
And I I sometimes feel, yeah, it makes me quite emotional actually, just thinking I don't feel like one lifetime will be enough to remember. As yeah. And so it's also, but then I'm like, but is that capitalist urgency as well? That I'm like, I want to know it all now. And so is that also part of the thing that I'm saying has been taken away from me? I don't know. But yeah, sometimes I feel, yeah, I think it's very quick to disconnect from things. I think it doesn't take many generations, one or two, to just cut our relationship to things, our connection to the mysterious, to the unfathomable,
Yeah.
if it's not passed down. And I feel it takes longer to rebuild than it does to cut off.
It
And
does.
so sometimes I'm like, oh, well, that will take several lifetimes or generations or
Yeah.
um
Here in
yeah,
the
like it
US,
did work.
they did the thing with the Indian schools where they sent native children to these
Mm,
Indian schools where they were super abused
mm,
anytime they did anything that related to their cultures. And
mm,
mm, they were super abused when they used their native language
mm,
and told to assimilate and only use English and only and follow Christianity and everything. And it only took one generation of that to lose a lot of the native languages, a lot of native traditions. And I know there's a lot of Native Americans in the US that are like, and places, learning centers that are trying to rebuild that knowledge now.
Yeah.
But you're right about the disconnection happening fast and the rebuilding happening slow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. How are you looking towards the future with your actions?
Feels like it. I think this sense of being in the middle of figuring it out is present as you ask the question out loud.
Yeah.
This sense of grappling with those questions that we're naming and beyond. I think I'm looking to continue to synthesize some of what we've spoken of and just continue to make sense of it and see how I might share it and how little me might occupy my little place in the world with this knowledge and attunement and ways of being that I'm developing and constantly studying and researching. And it's like, just figuring out how all that comes together. Yeah, I don't have a clear answer for this. I think I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to stay centered and as a generator, trying to stay responsive to and alive to what comes up, so that I feel ready to respond.
Yeah. I definitely think that being comfortable sitting in the question is a great way of looking towards the future with the actions. Being able to acknowledge that you don't have the answer. There's a romantic comedy that came out sometime in the last few years with Owen Wilson and J-Lo.
Okay.
Lopez.
Yeah.
Love it. It's called Marry Me. And Owen Wilson plays this like boring math professor and J-Lo plays this huge pop star.
Okay.
They get married during her concert. And he has this thing that he repeats and he tells his daughter and she repeats, where if you sit in the question long enough, the answer will come to you.
Yeah.
And I think of that when I'm feeling impatient for an answer or impatient to know what's happening. And
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. And it's helpful because the answer does come and the answer is better than what it would have been if I had forced it.
Yeah. And then done a lot of work in the wrong direction almost.
Yes.
In a way that's not the right way for you. Yeah. I think part of that sitting in that question, as you name, for me is also like, and being more responsive is perhaps to do with, I was going to say, making myself more visible. And by this, I mean being a little bit more proactive in engaging in conversation with people who are maybe doing a little bit more activist work around me. And so Bristol is quite kind of, I know quite a lot of people around me and in the dance community who play more activist roles than I do. And I think part of this being in question is also engaging a little bit more in conversation with these people and saying, how can I participate? Again, with it, but with it being aligned with, who I am and the tools I bring, but just opening myself up to the possibility of just being in conversation more. And I think this, joining you here today is kind of part of that. Is like my instinct is to stay quite hidden and just, let word of mouth do its thing. And I'm good enough at what I do that kind of works and I make do. And, but what if I kind of step up and out a little bit and just turn the light on and say, I'm here doing this.
Yes.
Anyone interested?
And for
Yeah.
people that are doing more activist work, like breath work, movement work, can be really good for them. Like if you connect with them and you say, how can I offer you breath work? Or then, that helps move
Yeah.
trauma out of their bodies. It helps people stay open to possibility, helps in so many ways. So like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, you being just little you helping in your little way. And like, yeah, that's all we can do. And I think that's what
Yeah.
my whole thing is that if we all are doing what we can,
Mm,
our little own way,
mm,
in the way we have to show up in the world, to be the best we can be, to
mm,
connect with other people, to be good and kind with our actions, then how much impact does that have?
mm, mm, mm.
Just like this podcast has just crossed 300 listens, and it's like
Hmm.
retained 100% of the people listening, which means I've had 300 more impacts than I could have if I was.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well said.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it's just me having little conversations with my friends.
Right. Amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. I'm reminded as you speak of the work that I've come across, and then it's come back into my field only yesterday. In fact, as part of the Newness Network, it's the work around moral beauty.
Mm,
What's his name? This guy who's also written a book called Awe. So he's this kind of professor who's explored. I've got it written down somewhere. Dr. Dietrich Keltner, I think his name is. But the work is around moral beauty and how basically noticing acts and moments of moral beauty is a way to build like a more compassionate society. And so he's calling on each and every one of us to really notice and turn and shift our attention towards these moments of moral beauty. And moral beauty being like, the person who's helping the other person cross the street, or all these little acts of humanity
yes.
that we can become disconnected with, but that make
Yeah.
that make us human, and that make our systems work, and that open our hearts to each other. And so just these tiny acts of moral beauty, and I just really like that term. I feel it encompasses a lot of what you were just speaking of. And as I we heard that term, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to log that in, and I'm going to, how in somatic practice, we often orient towards what feels safe. It's like,
Yeah.
what's a resource internally, externally, what feels good, where do I feel safety in my body, outside my body? And it's like that, but in the context of maybe something a bit more societal. So the morality, and not morality in a kind of like judgment way, but just like the moral
Yes.
standard, and in the in not in its shadow side, but it's light part of essentially love, and just showing compassion and love towards each other in
Yeah.
those tiny acts. And then the 300 people who are going to listen to this conversation maybe be inspired to
Yeah.
to show up in the best way we can. Yeah, it's the daily work, isn't it? It's our daily work.
It's the daily work. When I was growing up, my dad always asked me, like, and I came to him when I was growing up and I came to my dad for advice. He would
Mm.
always ask me, like, what's the right thing to do?
Mm.
And
Mm.
so
Yeah. Yes.
constantly making decisions
Uh-huh.
from what is the right thing to do.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And, but then another way I think of things is like, what's an easy thing for me to do that's like helpful? What's a right and
Mm.
easy thing? I like,
Right. Yeah.
I do a lot of little things like giving somebody a couple dollars or like
Mm-hmm.
my leftover food from a meal when I'm walking by. I'll be like, do you want my leftovers? Because,
Mm. Mm.
sometimes that's degrading to be handed
Mm-hmm.
somebody's leftover food,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's something that I fully planned to eat later or whatever. And sometimes people say yes, and I don't really talk about that kind of action, or I usually don't talk about it, don't post about it on Facebook, whatever, because I think that that stuff should just be what people do,
Yeah.
right? That's like
Agreed.
that's
Yeah.
the basicest level that I can help people. But I've
Mm-hmm.
started to post about it a little bit on my Blue Sky Threads Facebook, because that kind of stuff gives other people ideas of little daily things they can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And coming back to the contact nutrition that we were, speaking of a bit,
Yeah,
just some kind eyes.
and vocal prosody.
Yeah. And a hello. And like
Yes.
that shared humanity of like, I see you and you see me, and I'm not going to pretend that this isn't happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I've
That
heard that
feels.
from homeless people that I know, that one of the worst parts of living on the street
Mm-hmm.
is being ignored or treated like you don't exist or like you're invisible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is,
That invisibility. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And I
Uh,
can't imagine just people constantly walking by you,
mm-hmm.
pretending you don't exist.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm.
Anyway, on that note, what are you going to promote, Laura?
Well, I thought that I would use my participation in your podcast to have a promo on something, but I don't. I often teach a spring little session around the spring equinox. And I thought, I'll get that ready and then I can promote it. But I haven't done that. So I don't have anything to promote other than, I guess, just I have a website. And on my website, there's loads of links to all the different parts of what I do, whether that's group work or one-on-one. And maybe you can put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
That would be great. So if people want to reach out or check out what it is that I do a little bit more, that's there.
What's the website link?
It's lauradannequin.co.uk. So Laura, and Dannequin is DANNEQUIN.co.uk.
Yeah.
And it's
You have
got
any
my
social?
creative work. Sorry, socials. Yeah, I'm on Instagram, and on Instagram I'm Laura_Dannequin. So spelt the same way, with an underscore between Laura and Dannequin. Yeah, I'm not super active on socials, trying to show up a bit more, to share a little bit more of what I do. But yeah, most of my work is, through my website is
Your website.
probably best. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any concepts you want to promote?
Concepts. How do you mean?
Well, some people have come and Marisa promoted pleasure, or
Oh,
I mean, we've
nice.
already talked about several concepts like moral beauty and such.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna come back to I think the first thing I named around kind of like something around the deliciousness, connecting with the deliciousness of being in a body,
yes,
even when that body hurts and even when that body is difficult and gives us trouble. And this isn't something we spoke, maybe we can talk about that another time at a future date. But I also do some work in the disability arts field. And so something that I hold dear for myself is, this concept of how can I savor being in a body in spite of ...
Mhm.
So,
movement is
yeah.
great for that. As a chronically ill person, like
Yes.
slow, gentle mobility movements,
Yes.
great for savoring being in a body, feeling
Nice.
how just those adjustments, those light movements bring blood flow in and bring ease to the joints. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it
Right.
actually makes me teary thinking about that.
Oh, I'm glad that resonates with you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Laura, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Asteria. It's I think it's the first. Yeah, it's the first. I think I was in one podcast, but it was to do with a piece of work that I'd made, and it was like 3-minute interview. But it's the first time I've had the chance to, be in conversation on a podcast. So that's my first. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I really
hosting that so
appreciate
well.
you being willing to do that with me.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a lovely day. I'm going into my evening.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to Asteria's Convos. You can find the links for this episode in the episode description. You can find me, Asteria Elzea, on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads as @asteria.elzea, and on Blue Sky as @Asteria Elzea. Spell it ASTERIA.ELZEA. Please leave a review on your favorite podcast hosting service. That's the absolute best way for our community to grow. Remember, your actions create the future. All my love, Asteria Elzea.